bottom of the mountain, up on the mountain, Bilderberg group meeting, openly getting ready for their new IMF head, openly planning a gigantic new war in the Middle East, on record fomented by Western governments, the U.S., Israel, and England, openly fomenting the Arab Spring. 2012, 2011, Bilderberg coverage, and so much is happening. Meanwhile, the news is insane, and that's all coming up with Gerald Celente later. We have the new generation of the naked body scanners. We have incredible economic news unfolding. SWAT team breaks down man's door over student loans. We have Americans being arrested everywhere for credit card debt. Debtor prisons are illegal. The Department of Education now has federalized local police that will bust down your door, and they kidnapped the guy for 6 hours over student loans. The bankers are coming. The bankers are coming. Paul Revere, 240-something years ago, said the redcoats are coming. No, ladies and gentlemen, the banksters are coming. Not your local bank, not your credit union that are real banks. The big mega global 6 banks. The big mega 5 banks in the U.S., Goldman-Sachs, J.P. Morgan. These are people like Bank of America that control the issuance of the currency and credit worldwide, and their leaders, their heads, are meeting with royalty right now to decide the future of our world, and our brave, dogged reporters, our gumshoe, straw hat reporters are on the scene. They're covering it. We're showing live video. They drove up the hill past the police checkpoints that are at the entrance and are attempting to get people shots. There is Aaron-Dykes in the video that PrisonPlanet.tv viewers can watch. Also, we have the free video feed at Infowars.com. Embedded in the article, exclusive live video and photos from Bilderberg, continually updated right now. Get this link out to everybody. Also follow the video feeds at twitter.com/RealAlexJones. That Twitter feed is there at Infowars.com. U.S. funding for future promises lags by trillions. USA Today. OPEC. Talks break down. No deal to lift oil supply. That means oil prices will only go up. China warns U.S. debt default idea is playing with fire. Associated Press. This is red level. Reuters. Similar headline. Gold, little change after Bernanke comments. Bernanke speaks, stock market plunges. I mean, this is insane. And all over the country, every day I see articles now, arrested for debts. And then it turns out they're not even allowed to do it by law. They will announce court dates, never tell the person to be there, and then arrest them for failure to appear, and then intimidate them. There are police, they're up close to the militarized police there that are at another one of the entrances. There is the hotel where they're meeting. We take you now live to St-Moritz, Switzerland, where the crime syndicate that has engineered a global black hole of debt, 1.5 quadrillion, 1,500 trillion, impossible, hundreds of times the wealth in the world, cannot be paid back, sucking the country dry. 27 trillion, most of it went to foreign banks. As we told you for years, we were right, now admitted in the Bloomberg suit, getting the documents. Do you realize there are the criminals? There are the people openly wanting world government, openly wanting carbon taxes to shut down all their competition and selectively let GE heads who do attend these meetings be able to have the only power plants, to only let Obama supporters and globalists not have to buy the insurance. Aaron-Dykes, they're reporting from Switzerland as World War III is prepared in the Middle East openly, Rand Corporation calling for it, as the dollar plunges, as they talk about dollar default, as Moody's and S&P say it may default, as everything begins to accelerate. There you are. And where is the international mainstream media? Nowhere to be seen. Swiss News with insiders reporting they're preparing to pick the new IMF head, not the governments of Europe and the U.S., but the corporate leaders. This is incredible. Aaron-Dykes, I mean, I'm excited, folks. You get excited about football games, folks, and the pregame. I get excited about my children's future and identifying the globalists, because if we identify them and not their front puppets, as Brzezinski said last year, as he warned the CFR that the world was awakening, it's over. They can't commit these crimes. People are rioting worldwide, from Greece to Iceland to Portugal, to Spain, to Ireland. The Irish Times says Ireland is being conquered by private banks. We must stop the bailouts, which are, again, the bankers say they owe this. Our pension funds are all tied into it. They hold us hostage and say, give us unlimited trillions, pay us carbon taxes, or we'll destroy you. Aaron, you are there in the belly of the beast. I salute you. Tell us what's happening.
Alex, I'm here surrounded 360 degrees by the beautiful Swiss Alps, next to the biggest hotel, the Hotel Souvretta, overlooking the rest of the area here in St-Moritz. They've got private security as well as police. They say the private security's been here since yesterday, our sources tell us. They have makeshift surveillance cameras on every rooftop and sub-rooftop. They have floodlights, I guess so they could see if anyone is sneaking around. They've got ID checkpoints, a cordon set up all around the perimeter. They've even tried to block off part of the view at the security checkpoint where they have a trailer set up for the limos to come through, so the attendees can't be easily photographed as they come in. And it's quite a scene. We've got We Are Changers here from here in Switzerland and elsewhere in Europe. Right now there's a couple dozen. They're expecting as many as 200 to even 500 later in the week. So we'll see how that plays out. But they also say some of the attendees have already arrived. Others obviously will be coming in tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I saw some of the Maybach, Super Mercedes, and others going in. I've seen those before. They're there. And if we see diplomatic cars coming in, you know, Hillary's in Europe right now with her special friend. That's a whole other scandal. That is the wife of Wiener. So Wienergate's only the tip of the Wienergate. We've got all that happening. This is so huge. And we've got Tucker and others with inside intel. Give us some of the things that our inside sources are telling us are on the agenda. Some years, Tucker's source even sends him the internal agenda report. Get that, immediately get it out. Folks can also follow it at AmericanFreePress.net. Give us your report, Aaron.
Well, of course, a lot of it Paul Watson just relayed to you, but of course they do want a wider war, according to Tucker's sources, and it makes perfect sense. They've primed the field with the Arab Spring and the semi-nonviolent, although, of course, a lot of violence behind the scenes, kind of under the covers. The hot war in Libya, which is likely to expand further, and obviously they're looking at Syria and other locales surrounding the Iran point on the map. Of course, we also have the Dominique Strauss-Kahn news breaking that they're looking to replace. By way of parallel, you remember a couple years ago, Paul Wolfowitz had his own sex scandal for hiring his mistress at the World Bank. He stepped down just before that year's conference at Bilderberg, and they reportedly did choose his successor there in the meeting, which ended up being, of course, Robert Zoellick, head of the World Bank.
Unbelievable. And Kurt's got the intel through our sources that they're looking at a particular finance minister out of Mexico to head up the IMF. That would be a big shakeup, because when they go through these rounds, it's just like Bilderberg only comes to the U.S. every 4 years. 3 of the 4 years they meet in continental Europe or England. Now the word is usually only 1 out of 4 years or rounds of IMF head position. Will it be an American? So if it's a Mexican, that'll show another major North American Union move.
Yeah, that is a huge development, because, of course, the World Bank traditionally goes to an American, the IMF traditionally to a European. So if they were to bring Mexico under the fold, that is quite an expansion, and obviously a sign they want to partner with other developing nations and bring more people into the centralized global government system.
Aaron, we're going to continue to check in with you, and coming up in the 3rd hour, we're going to do a video Skype from the hotel. I may actually change that and just have you guys from the site continue to report, and then perhaps do a overdrive with you guys today. For those that don't know what overdrive is, it's up on the satellites if stations want it, but it's also at prismplanet.tv, the audio and video streams at Infowars.com. So play it by ear. I'll let you know in the next 45 minutes, talking to you off air, whether you want to stay there at Bilderberg or go to your hotel to start filing your reports and also doing the video feeds. But we've got so much news here. There's a media blackout in the United States. Drudge is the only place on Monday that did carry our report about the high-level Swiss politician, basically a member of their Congress, calling for Kissinger's arrest if he shows up. So we're waiting for Drudge.
And he's indicted in France also.
And he's
also been indicted in France.
And under EU rules, he should be arrested, but Switzerland kept his sovereignty. So then the globalists can still come into there. The power of sovereignty is a double-edged sword. Of course, the EU is not going to arrest Kissinger to begin with, but who knows what could happen. We'll continue to watch that. We've got another headline that needs to get out, that there is a high-tech surveillance grid of police and makeshift cameras, that they are planning a gigantic war, that they're looking at the new IMF head. They're pushing they're worried that there's an awakening in Congress to Obama saying that the Libyan war would last days, not weeks. Now they're saying it'll last into Christmas, into next year, maybe for years, as long as it takes. And again, we've got video feeds right now of Aaron joining us on air. Let's continue with that shot. With the Swiss Alps in the background. I envy you guys, but I've got to stay here in the rear with the gear and direct all of this. Aaron, continuing, any other points that you'd like to add for folks?
Well, you know, it's hard to know offhand how clear the video is. These tripods.
It's crystal clear.
Surveillance cameras. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just to be clear, in case the video is not, they have these surveillance cams on makeshift tripods, really about every 10 to 20 feet on every ledge, every sub-rooftop of this enormous and very gorgeous hotel. So that's very interesting.
Ask Paul, who's shooting live video right now for viewers at Infowars.com, to center the camera, because you can't really zoom with that while you're streaming. Center the camera
center on those tripods.
Yeah, center on the tripods, and people can then focus in and see the cameras. Is that what looks like a lamppost right there? Is that the cameras you're talking about?
There's lampposts in the foreground. Beyond that, you'll see a short ledge with a building that is at its highest point about 10 feet, at its lowest point only about 4 feet.
Yeah, tell Paul.
Surveillance tripod is there.
Tell Paul.
Zoom in if you can and center on those cameras, please.
Yeah, and tell Paul to stay there. I want you to step in front of him for folks watching.
Stay on that.
And step in front of Paul.
Stay on that and let me step in front of it.
And then point.
You're going to back up just a bit because we're right up against this cordoned off zone here. But as you can see behind me, there are the makeshift surveillance cams, which I have not seen at the previous years. And in addition to the surveillance cams, every few feet, every 10 or 20, they have floodlights just to make sure, obviously, that they're seeing everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting development. And
yeah, because media is so dangerous and so evil compared to the globalist criminals. Okay, we see you, Aaron. Point directly to where it's at.
Okay, you can see here the first surveillance cam, and then behind it on the higher ledge, there's another one. Next to it, a bank of lights. Behind that, off to the right, a second bank of lights. Further off to the left, more banks of lights, more surveillance cams, all on these lower ledge roofs. And that's just, of course, what's visible, because we know they have snipers in place, smaller cameras surveilling for the ceilings. Obviously, it's an extremely high security zone.